The biggest complaint I have as a Tesla Model 3 owner, and I actually have a Tesla Model Y right next to me, is that it's so empty in front of the steering wheel. It feels like it's missing something. I drive a lot of gas cars as well, and it can tell you it does feel like there should be something here. Now, in normal cars, all you get is your dash, right? Maybe an infotainment center, but I have partnered up with Hannshow, and we have brought to you a screen that is better than the regular instrument clusters and better than the instrument clusters on the S and X. So we can upgrade your Model 3 or your Model Y. This works for both, and stays tuned because it's a really cool feature that every Tesla owner that I have talked to wants, and it's in here. First thing we need to do is open this up. Thankfully, the packaging is super simple. You just find the edge on which it pops open. Turns out I have it upside down. We're gonna open it, and there's a few things we get. I'm gonna walk you through the install in this video, so you don't really need to watch the install video, but if you wanted to, you have instructions on how to do so. Now the rest of it is in here. But before we unbox this, let's talk about some tools you might need. You're definitely gonna need threading tape or fish line tape, a plastic spudger, if not two, a T20 screwdriver, some tape, I would say like black electrical tape is perfect, and maybe some gloves. It also helps if you have smaller hands. All right, now let's see what the rest of this holds. The first thing I'm seeing is a wiring harness, and this is for the front camera. I'll spoil it for you now. We're gonna put a front camera on this car. It goes on the bumper so you can see where you're pulling into. This is perfect for when you're pulling into parking spots, because Teslas, other than the Cybertruck and possibly the new Model Y, don't have front cameras. This is so annoying, y'all. We have cameras all around, but not one to help us park forward. That's why I'm so excited for this. That's the main reason why I'm getting this screen. That and the ability to stream your phone to the screen. Well, we'll get to that in a second. This is a wiring harness that's gonna help connect it to the main computer, so you get all your data on there. They give you two wiring harnesses, one for your Intel chips, one for your AMD chips. I have an AMD chip, so I'm going to be using that one, and this Intel one can just go back in the box for now. And then you have the screen itself. I know you guys are probably very excited to see this, so let's see it. This is it. It's so sleek, it's so thin. Don't you just love it? So if we take this right here, all we're gonna want to do is we're gonna properly install it, but essentially it just clips on right here. And then you can see what it looks like. I love that. I feel like that just belongs, right? This right here, that looks so good. Even though there are only 3 components, the screen and the 2 wiring harnesses, this might take a while to install, mainly I'm thinking for the camera. That's like the thing I'm thinking that's gonna take the longest. So I'll set a timer and I will time how long it takes to install just the screen. This is all you need to install the screen, and also then to install the camera, the additional time for that. Oh, I also didn't notice this, but they give you a pry tool. So thanks Hannshow for that. And then also they give you one of these, and this is a bracket. This bracket is gonna be what holds the screen to the back of here. So another part, small part, but that's important. And this is just nice. Get your tools, pause the video now, get your tools, maybe get a snack, you know, get ready, because the rest of the video is gonna be based on just installing this, okay? Let's go. Some people say that you need to turn off your car before you do this. I don't think you have to, but I'm just letting you know that. If you do open the door, put your foot on the brake or sit on the seat, the car will automatically turn on once again, so just keep that in mind. If you do want it to turn your car off, go to safety, scroll all the way down, and then click power off. But we're gonna start with the door open. That way it won't power on, so leave your door open. We'll go ahead and power off now, and then we're gonna get out. One is gonna be to remove this trim piece. All you're going to need is this pry tool. This piece sat on right here, and then we're just gonna go ahead and remove it. Use the pry tool, take it off. We're gonna do it to this side, and now let's move on to the other side. On this side, you can see that both of these pieces are removed. First, we can remove this piece right here. I did it in the opposite order, but you're gonna want to remove this piece, and then also remove this piece. So for both of these pieces, go ahead, grab your pry tool. Pry tool is what you're gonna want to use, and you're just gonna go around the edges here. What you're gonna want to do next is remove this piece right here. Now, you should have a screw in here. I am missing mine, so we're gonna skip over that. But if you have a screw in here, use this fork side and just pry it out. You'll get it out like that. Now you're gonna want to remove this part. You might want to peel the weather stripping up for this, or sometimes you can just pull it off. This is just being held in by clips at the bottom. So you can use your hands, you could use a pry tool. You're essentially just gonna want to pull this long piece up. I'm gonna take off the weather stripping just to get some better access to it. And you can hear the clips unpopping like that. And then you're gonna wanna go ahead and pull this piece out. We'll set it right here for now. The next thing that we're gonna want to do is remove this panel underneath your glove box. And there are a few clips under here. We're gonna use the fork edge of this and remove them. So just go under here and go ahead, and we're just gonna wanna pull all these out. Should look something like this guy right here. And I think after 4, that should be it. And we should be okay to just drop this down like this. If you have any light right here, just be careful of this wire. And there's also one more wire, the speaker wire, which you're also gonna want to be careful for. We're gonna have to go ahead and unplug these, or you can just lay it down gently if you have enough room. The next step is gonna be to install this wiring harness. There's really only 2 cables that you're gonna have to pay attention to right now, and it's gonna be these ones. Now, I already have some aftermarket accessories in here, so we're just going to be splitting the power. But typically, if you don't have anything else plugged in, this will be empty right here. And then this one up here will also be empty. And it can take a little force to get this one out. That's why this pry tool right here is so great. Watch this. We're just gonna press it in and pull it out. But we can still use this. This is for my Hannshow sexy buttons, but let's go ahead and plug this one in. So to plug this in, notice the blue plug right here. All we're gonna want to do is plug it into the bottom, just like that, okay? So we got that plugged in right there. If you have any aftermarket other things, they give you this clip, so you can go ahead and plug it in here. Thanks Hannshow for that, super good. And then we also have the other plug, right? Don't forget about this guy right here. So this guy we can plug in up top, which is gonna be right here. And that should just click on in. That was a small click, but that is definitely in, okay? Now from here, we can plug the other aftermarket accessory back in. Sweet, solid click. Everything feels pretty good. Now all we're gonna want to do is put this to the side. We'll probably want to, since there's a lot right here, I have a lot, it might be good to just stick it and push it against here, but you might be able to, that's why we took this off, route it back here. But we'll come back to this in a second. Now let's talk about the dash. Now it's time to remove the Model 3 dash. So this should just pop up like this. You can use your pry tool if you need to, but all you're gonna want to do is firmly push it up on multiple points at the same time. That way you're not bending any specific parts. Right, this is lifted. Let's go on to the other side and lift that. Right on this side, come on. All right, there we go. That whole dash is lifted. You might hit your screen, just be careful of that. I'm gonna tilt it forward and down a little bit. And from here, this whole dash part is basically off. Look at that. Dang, boy. This thing is long. Wow, I have not seen it like this before. I'm gonna dust this really quick. Well, this is super dusty too. Okay, if I were you, I would go ahead and dust all of this down before we continue. So I'll see you in a second. A few things that are definitely gonna help if you have a swivel screen or steering wheel, and everyone has a steering wheel or yoke or something, is if you have this screen, you're gonna wanna kind of tilt it down and forward, really out of the way. And then for the steering wheel, go into your controls, go into steering, You're gonna want to adjust this as far down as you can. That way you have plenty of clearance up here. And the reason why we want plenty of clearance is now it's time to align the screen up with your steering wheel. All right, y'all, so now we're at the part where we're gonna be wiring this wire. This is for the actual harness that came with our kit. And I just tuck some of the wires back here. We're gonna loop it around this piece right here. And then we're just gonna drag it along here. If you want, you can try to kind of push it under some of these panels like that. You push it all the way along here, and then all the way to the driver's side so that we can have these plugs. And now we're gonna deal with our dash and the screen sitting on the dash. So let's get that figured out right now. So for this wire, if you want to use some electrical tape to tap it down, that could be worthwhile as well. I'm not going to, but that's just a thought you can do. At the screen, it has this bottom plastic part, right? And then also under here, we have this piece. Can you see it with the two things right here? We kind of want to try to align it with that as best as possible. So I've put the dash back on temporarily, right? Very loosely. I'm just going to put the dash right here. And we're going to try to align our screen. That's what we're going to want to do. And this is just so you can align it best to where you can see it. You can also try to align it with this right here. That's another good practice. Using this as a measurement, even though it says to use that part on the inside as a measurement, I think this is okay. I think it's good right here. Let's take it off and then we'll go and route the wires through the back of it. Pulling the entire dashboard off again. I have my thumb pressed against it so it's not going to come out of the holes that we aligned it. You can see where the three pieces are in here and in here. That is how it's pretty much aligned. Now these cables also need to come through these holes, come through right there. So let's do that right now. I hope I don't forget my placement. I'm gonna put my finger here, and so we start placing on this next one. And on the other side, we're just gonna wanna shimmy the screen out of place a little bit. And now we gotta work on passing these wires through. So that's the important part that we're going to want to do now. Go from one side and just push it through. And you don't really have to be careful. You can just go ahead and push it through. These are very firm and they'll come out the other side, and you can go ahead and grab them, start, pulling it through. So you're just going to do that for the other two as well. They've all been pushed through. So now we can try to put these grooves back on. And I believe I had it centered right there. So this is a bit tricky. It's helpful if you have a friend to pull this through, and then you can go ahead and put this on, or you can just do it by yourself. All right, let's see this. Let's try to line it up properly like that. Okay, that's how I wanted it. And then it's just gonna sit down like that. Pretty much it, y'all. Now you can see I have it a little bit off, but it's okay. It's not that big of a deal, because it still passes through all the way. And then this still sits on here, just like that. All right, we're solid. Everything seems sitting properly. We can push that down a little bit more. You can see that gives it a more flush fit there. And then same on the other side. Now, it's not just gonna sit in here with friction. We have this packet. And this packet is gonna be what's on the other side holding this down. Okay. And now we have our brackets off. You can see there one side is like this. We're just gonna go ahead and press it down like this. And uh-oh, it's hitting the wire. Oh no. Okay, if this happens to you, I think we're gonna have to go ahead and move the wire a little bit more over, because we don't want the insulation hitting this. So I'm gonna move this over a little bit, be right back. But if you check out these pieces, they're gonna sit just like this. And then you're going to put screws into these three holes, and it comes with 6 of them. You're gonna need a small Phillips head, and easy enough just to hold it down. I gotta redo mine. Give me 1 second. So the wires have been rerouted, the screws and the plates have been installed. Now all we really have to do is put the dash back on. It's pretty much it, guys. Really going to conclude our setup here. Yeah, all we're doing is just putting the trim back on. But of course, that's after we plug in the wires. I will go and power off the car. So let's go to safety all the way down. We're gonna power off. power off. We're sitting in the car. Now let's try to plug it in just to make sure everything works. You can see that we have plenty of slack where we can plug in these wires. So of course the blue is gonna go to the blued, and they are keyed, so they can only go in one way and a specific type of way. You see these are not going in right now. Let's try to rotate it, boom. There we go. Ooh, nice. And the car's back on. Sweet, look at that. And that's pretty much it, y'all. You could end the video here by essentially putting the dash back together, putting back on those black plastic pieces that we took off previously, put them all back together, and then put this back up. With filming and trying to explain everything, it took about, I would say, 2 hours. But if you were to do this speed running it, you could do it probably in an hour. I would say set at least 3 hours aside just to do all this, so you're not rushing or anything. 3 hours just for this inside part, but now it's time to do the front camera part. This is optional, so you might not have it, and you could just close everything up now, so you don't have to do the front camera now, but we're gonna go ahead and do that front camera. Come on with me, let's at least watch me do it. Let's go do it and see if you like it. The first thing that we're gonna need to do is open the frunk. Now that the frunk is open, we're gonna have to take off this panel. It's just being held in with these white clips, so that's really easy to remove. For this, you're gonna want a 10 mil. I'm just lazy, so I'm putting it on my drill, but you could use a wrench if you wanted to. I want to come in and remove that bolt right there. There's 2 bolts underneath here for me. You might not have these. These are actually 3D printed to help hold bags and such. Now we're also going to want to remove this front part. So it should look something like this. We're going to have to disconnect this wire. This wire, you can kind of just pull it out, and then this is going to come off. Now there's also going to be 2 bolts, and I have them underneath this floor mat, but you don't want to take your floor mat off and undo those 2 bolts. I already undid those. So once we have those two done, these 2, you're going to want to do, if you have 2 bolts right here. From there, you're pretty much going to want to just go ahead, lift carefully on the edges, and you can really start pulling this whole thing out. So for that side's out, let's go ahead this side. There we go. The whole frunk tub should just come out. And that's it. I give up, guys. I give up. I give up. I can't do it at all. I've been trying for so long. The instructions say to put the wire through here. I've been using this huge flashlight, okay? And this huge flashlight has shown me that down here, it's completely sealed off in here. I cannot find an opening that goes into here. And I tried to use the fishing tape to, you know, just push it through, but no, nothing, nada, cannot get it through. So what are the options I have discovered? Well, there's one thing that you can do, and it's the way I did it. You see the panels right here? That's separate, right? This plastic piece and this bumper. If you can put it through here, if you have enough gap, you really have to pull them apart. Well, you can put it in that way. And from there, check this out. You can come on this side and you can grab it right here. It comes right through. So that's one way of doing it. The other option, and the reason why I didn't do it this way, is because if something hits underneath the car, well, then you're gonna probably lose your camera. But you can mount it right here. You can see I already have a hole for my underglow, and then you can fish this through, and that will go into this front area as well. So those are the 2 options. I cannot get it through the vent. I tried literally everything. Let me know if you can get it through the vent, or if you know or anyone knows a better way of getting it in there. This is the way I'm going with. So now let's go mount the camera, and then we'll get onto wiring. To mount the camera, we have this little bag. It has 2 screws and it has this adhesive pad. We're gonna use all of this. The adhesive pad, we're just gonna stick onto here, and then we can stick it to this. Then we'll screw in the screws into our bumper. There's a plane flying over me. Sorry if you can hear that. I'm gonna use some adhesive promoter or isopropyl alcohol, spray a little pad, and then come here and wipe down the center part or wherever you're gonna be mounting your front camera. The area is nice and clean. We can go ahead and take off this pad. Let's first remove the back part, and then we're going to put that right here, and it should line up completely as it was It was made for this with the back side. We'll put this back here. We're gonna line it from the back. Oh, much better. Okay, that's the strategy. Align it from the back first and then lay it down. So from here, we're gonna then pull off the top part, and then we're going to stick it to the car. Boom, just like that. We can go ahead and stick it in the middle. Make sure it's centered. So my center is gonna be like right here. That is very center for me. And now we have a front camera. So just press it up against here. I'm gonna save these 2 screws for later. I'm gonna keep them in the car. If this adhesive does fail, remember there's still that wire that's gonna be hanging onto it. So not a huge deal. I'm just not gonna do this right now. I think the adhesive is very strong. But what we will need to do is tighten the screws on the side right here, and here, and that will stop the camera from wiggling around. But we'll do that after we look on the screen and adjust the camera angle to an angle that we like. Now we have 2 ends, both are of the same kind of connection type. They both say front. This part that has this little coil bit on it, I'm going to use for here, and that's really just to protect the insulation. That's why they have it. So while we run this up here, we are going to be having this part connect in with this wire right here. Okay, it's keyed. It's only going to go in one way. We're going to start by coming over to the left side of the car if you're looking at it, or if your passenger is the right side of the car, this side of the car. See this part right here, this black plastic part? We're just going to go and remove these pins. Now you can do it with a pry tool, and actually, okay, ouch. Don't do it with your fingernails. Let's go get a pry tool. There you are. Use the fork edge of the included pry tool and then go in, remove that pin. I just dropped it and thankfully it came out from underneath, but be careful with these. That one is removed, and then we're gonna do the same with this one. Awesome, both are undone, and then this black rubber piece is gonna come off. It's just gonna make it a little bit easier to access inside of here, because underneath this black panel right here is where we're gonna want to go into. Speaking of this panel, we can easily remove this pin as well, and that's gonna make it a little bit more flexible when we want to move this up and down, just like, oh my gosh, I'm dropping everything. Now this black piece sits in a groove right here. You can feel free to pull it up and kind of out of the groove. You see how I did it right there? You're not gonna break anything. It just sits in there like that. Just make sure you set it back down when you're done with it. And now lift this up. I'm gonna try to give you the best angle possible. You see, I already have a cable running into it right there. I'm just basically gonna follow that cable and try to pull the wire through. And the wire I'm talking about, guys, is this one. So this is the one that we just attached to the camera, and we're going to use some tape, attach it to this, and then we are going to push this wire into this grommet right there, that black one. And once we push it in there, we are gonna pull it through the passenger side. So I'll see you over there. Make sure you cut a small hole in the grommet. That way you can fish the wire through. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. This is going to be the longest part, I would say. Except actually, that part was pretty long. So that part and that part, we got some long parts here. You can see the fishing wire being pushed through. It's in here. Can't really see on the other side too well, but there's a little bit of light. Really isn't gonna show. And I don't have many hands here, but it passes through into the cabin. And now, yeah, let's just go in the cabin and try to find it. We're gonna look on the passenger side under here. We're gonna have to flip our heads and pretty much look under here. So I'm gonna go right here and look up. Oh, also side note, I went ahead and disconnected the light in the speaker. You're just gonna pull the plugs off, and then I put that guy up there. I see an orange wire, y'all. You see that? So look for your wire, and then we're gonna just reach the hand up in there and pull it down. We do not wanna mess this part up, guys. So this is the part where we are going to fish it through. Now tape this strongly, because I don't know about you, but it took me a good time. Like you can see the sun's already kind of going down to get this all the way through. So we don't want to have to redo that whatsoever.
So I am just going and taping this thing completely up all the way along here. We can waste electrical tape, we can buy more tape, but you can't buy more time. And we do not, or I do not, want to spend any more time on this than I have to. So basically cocooning it completely. There's no way that this guy is gonna come out. Absolutely no way. This is what I'm left with. So we have this tape right here. Now we can try to push it through this side and also pull it inside the cabin. It really helps if you have someone else to help you. I don't, so I'm gonna be going back and forth, pulling and pushing this guy. Oh my gosh. After a lot of pushing and pulling, guys, we finally got the cable through. And yes, I don't know if you can see, if it's wet, if it's sticky, I had to use a little bit of let's just say certain type of lubricant. The only thing I had on hand, okay, don't hear any judging, to get this through. Now let's go ahead. It is so slippery. I really think lube, you got to use some kind of lubricant to get this through. I can barely get the tape off. It is so slippery. All right, I got it. Let's remove this tape, pull the rest of the wire through, and then get to connecting it there and cleaning up our dash. So I've pulled it enough through. The first thing that I wanted to do was connect it over here, which I did. I went in to see if the camera still works. You can check this by quickly going into settings. In general, where it says AHD, click settings, and then you should have something come up. Now, when I go into 30 frames, it looks like this. So that's kind of unusable. When I look at 720p, it just says no signal. So I think the only configuration is 1080 and then 25. You can rotate, change the brightness, contrast, and saturation. The brightness, contrast, and saturation, I actually tested it out a little bit, and it does work when you change it. So let's save and quit, and we can see our front camera. It's pretty good. You can see the leaves blowing around a little bit, but now it's time to just put these wires back in here. We're gonna clean all of this up. Let's first start by cleaning up this part, the dash. I want this thing done. Grabbing the wires right here, I'm gonna want to put them on the inside. All of the slack, I don't want it in the dash. I'm gonna have it on this way. And there's a lot of slack, so we're gonna redo the wiring under here. Let's just go pull this up, and then these wires, I'm going to pull them. You gotta really just pull it to where you think it's best fit. I think it's gonna best fit underneath here, and then run it along the way. Again, you can tape these. I'm not gonna tape it, but you totally could. And when you go to place this back, you're gonna wanna push the silver part kind of in here, push it this way, and try to line it up with the sides. You're gonna get a little bulge from this guy, so when you do put it in, just pay attention to that. You might have to lift this a little bit to get it in there. Cable's still running along here. The main thing is to get it behind the clips, and then make sure it doesn't get caught in any of the clips. And then we can push it out right here. So let's pull the wires out from under the clips. Let's pull it to the back. Very tight here, very tight, guys. And it should come out of here. Let's try to line everything up as much as we can. I went ahead on this side, I lined up this side, and I basically punched it down here to get it to sit in. And then I did the same thing on that side. Now I'm just really dealing with the middle part, y'all. This side is sitting pretty flush, and hey, that looks good, right? Now I just gotta move this over and really deal with this middle. I don't know what the heck is going on here. Okay, so it was the middle part with the little hump bit that had the wires running through it. I just pushed it in more. You really gotta push the wires in more. And now everything is lined up. Everything is super solid. So that's the dash put back together. Let's go ahead and do the frunk. Let's button up the frunk. So you got this guy, and we gotta bring it back here. Make sure all your tools and everything are out of your frunk. Oh, and make sure everything is lined on how you want it. So like this, I'm gonna get some zip ties, and I'm probably gonna zip tie it, one down here, one over here, one right here, and then up there. Alrighty, I don't know if you guys want to copy me, but if you do, go ahead, tie here, here, and then one down there. If you took anything off, like let's say this part right here, or the grommet, if you pulled the grommet out, make sure everything is sat back in place before you close all this up. make sure everything works. That works. And then we can just go ahead and put all of this in here and then clip it closed. We also have this plastic piece that we're gonna just line up here, and then we can really just punch it down. It's just sitting on those plastic clips. Frunk is back to normal. Now let's go ahead and put the side panels back on. So really wiring these is just gonna depend on your circumstance. How many wires do you have in here already? You know, what does your situation look like? It's really gonna depend. So I can't tell you how to do this, but just take your time with this. Be gentle, make sure you don't have any tangling wires. If anything's tangling, feel free to unplug, move it around, and try to find a better path for it. All of mine's in. It is very packed up in here. So packed. Let's try to put this back on. If you guys need any tips about how to try to align everything, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll make a separate video on how to do this, or if you have any special kind of needs that you think are special, I guess, to your car, or you have any general questions that you might think will help other people, also drop them in the comments below. Seriously, sometimes I watch videos of other people doing stuff and I'm like, ugh, I wish certain things are explained better. And I know I'm not the best explainer, so especially when, you know, everyone's car is a little bit different. So if you have any issues, please give me a comment below. Let me know what your problem is and we can try to troubleshoot it together. But that is pretty much all aligned. You can go ahead and put the weather stripping back down. It looks good. It's a lot of just moving clips around and trying to get everything to be set properly. Guys, I am truly in love with this display. I think it is so cool to have this camera here, to have Android Auto, to really have a second screen in your car. It allows you to just have so much more. Do you have dual monitors at work or at home? This is pretty much what this is, having dual monitors. When I switched to dual monitors from having one monitor, I can never go back to just one monitor. And so having two now feels so great. It feels so good. Think about it. The higher end models come with it, so obviously having two is better. But let me know what you think about this in the comments below. There's tons of different screens out there. I have a few different models linked in the description below. The first one will be this exact one that I have. This one I really like because it's very low profile and it has this little vent right here. You can see the light from my ambient light is bleeding through, which also means the air will come through. So it's not going to obstruct the airflow. You still get ventilation, which I really like this unit. It is so sleek. But again, tell me what you use. Tell me your thoughts. I'm very curious below. Everyone has different kind of perspectives. Everyone has different opinions on what they like. So I'm curious to what you think and what is in your Tesla, whether it be a Model 3, a Y, or if you have an S or X. If, again, you want to pick this up for yourself, I'll have it in the description below, the like button, and I'll have a discount code to help you out. It also helps me out if you pick one up, so I really appreciate you coming along, trusting me with your install process. Again, if you have any questions, anything at all, it can be like the simplest thing, please leave a comment below and I will get back to you ASAP. I always get back to my comments as soon as possible, super quick, usually within under a few hours, which is great if you need any help installing this. So again, thank you for coming along and putting this together with me. I hope I can help you decide on a screen and put one in your car as well. Because come on, it just looks like a flippin' spaceship now, eh? And check this out, look, you can see that the lights are on right here. Lights are on over there too. So the front camera is pretty good. I really like it. Sharpness, it's all
there. I'm gonna be having more videos coming out about this screen. Okay, I know I should end the video right now, but there is something that I didn't cover in this video, and mostly it's the UI, the user interface of this screen. If I were to put that in this video, there's so much about it. This video will be so long, but I will have a video in the description below. It'll be the only video linked, and it's just gonna be going over the features of this screen. I haven't seen a lot of people go over the features of the screen, so I'm gonna use it for a little bit, and that video will be released pretty close after this current video. That way you can see what you're getting with this screen, everything you get, and you'll know what to expect when you get yours or what you won't get. So appreciate you guys again. Now I'm gonna end the video. I'll see y'all later.